وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله وبعد. Inshallah, today we'll cover Surah Ra'd, Surah Ibrahim, and Surah Hijr, inshallah ta'ala. We'll see how far we get past that. Before we start, I just wanted to say that I received some sad news this morning. Our mother, our aunt, Sister Aisha Saeed, the wife of Brother Sikandar Saeed, chairman of the board of CPSA, and someone my parents had been very close friends before I was even born. Like, I remember looking through baby pictures and I was like, who is that? And my mom was like, oh, that's Aisha. She passed away this morning. And let me know, June. And inshallah, her janazah will be tomorrow at the IFS after the second Jum'ah. And for a personal thing, it's like my sister and my mom, they visited her the day before yesterday. And when our parents lose someone very close to them, it reminds us and them of their own mortality. So we pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that all of us that have parents that are living, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala preserves them, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives them good health, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He takes them while He is pleased with them and they are pleased with Him. And all of our parents that have passed away, we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant them Jannah al-Firdaus, and we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give them the best of the hereafter and reunite us with them in Jannah al-Firdaus. Ameen. Alright, I'm experiencing some technical difficulties. I don't know why it's not projecting on the screen. There's really nothing to project. I didn't do a PowerPoint today, so I'm just going to write notes on it. But again, don't worry, inshallah, we're going to go ahead and go forward with the presentation. I'll try to figure it out during the break. But again, remember that the PowerPoints will be on the website, inshallah. Okay, and then if you go on the YouTube page, I don't know if any of you saw it yesterday, but yesterday's presentation, the day before's presentation, is on there. Jazakumullah khair. The family's doing a very good job putting this all together, and it's very beneficial, alhamdulillah. And inshallah will remain there. You know, a sister from India, she said she wants to be able to benefit from these programs when she's there, so inshallah I'll be online, inshallah ta'ala, so you can benefit. If I go too fast, you need further clarification, then you can go back, watch the video, and then you can email me and say, okay, what did this mean? There's no problem with that, inshallah ta'ala. So inshallah we'll start. Okay, for the brothers, I don't want anybody that I can't see. Alright, so these guys on the side over here, and move over to the side, inshallah. And jazakumullah khair to the brothers sitting in the front. Good job. Okay.
A Medina Surah that takes its title from the thunder that praises God in verse 13. The Surah is distinguished by its moving description of God's power and knowledge. Muhammad's place in a long tradition of prophets, none of whom could produce miracles on request, is stressed and his role emphasized. It is only to deliver the message. God is the one who will call people to account for their deeds, and He is the witness for the truth of the message. In the name of God, the Lord of mercy, the giver of mercy. Alif Lam Mim Ra. These are the signs of the scripture. What your Lord has sent down to you, prophet, is the truth. Yet most people do not believe. It is God who raised up the heavens with no visible supports and then established Himself on the throne. He has subjected the sun and the moon each to pursue his course for an appointed time. He regulates all things and makes the revelations clear so that you may be certain of meeting your Lord. It is He who spread out the earth, placed firm mountains and rivers on it, and made two of every kind of fruit. He draws the veil of night over the day. There truly are signs in this for people who reflect. There are in the land neighboring plots, gardens of vineyards, cornfields, palm trees and clusters or otherwise, all watered with the same water. Yet we make the yield of some better than others. There truly are signs in this for people who reason.
Okay. Okay. The first set of ayat are talking about the greatness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Just in the preface, the author says it's a Madani surah. The majority of scholars say they know that this is a Meccan surah, and because it talks about who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is and describes who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is. One of the verses, verse 4, what does verse 4 mean? Read verse 4 again. Verse 4.
Allah controls what grows where.
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala controls what grows where. Think about it, just put it in a very simple layman terms. What does it mean? Imagine that this is a plot of land, and this is a plot of land. Okay, what is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saying between the two plots of land? Okay, difference in the quality of vegetation. Everything could be done the same. You can plant these crops, same crops on this plot of land, same crops on this planet, same nutrient, same soil, same rain, same everything. Why is this barren and why is this not? Who causes this to grow and this to be barren? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right? وَنُفَضِّلُ بَعْضَهَا عَلَى بَعْضٍ فِي الْأُكُلِ. So what we have to realize is that we can do whatever we want, take whatever precautions and measures that we want, but rizq and provision is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we have to put our trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bless us in whatever He has bestowed upon us, and we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to increase us in whatever He has given us.
If anything can amaze you, Prophet, then we should surely be amazed that they're asking, what? When we become dust, shall we be created anew? These are the ones who deny their Lord, who will wear iron collars around their necks and be the inhabitants of the fire, there to remain. They ask you to bring on the punishment rather than promised rewards, though there have been many examples before them. Your Lord is full of forgiveness for people despite their wrongdoing, but He is truly severe in punishment. The disbelievers say, why has no miracle been sent down to him from his Lord? But you are only there to give warning. Earlier communities each had their guide. God knows what every female bears and how much their wombs shrink or swell. Everything has its measure with Him. He knows what is not seen as well as what is seen. He is the Great, the Most High. It makes no difference whether any of you speak secretly or aloud, whether you are hiding under cover of nights or walking about in the day. Each person has angels before him and behind him, watching over him by God's command. God does not change the condition of a people for the worse unless they change what is in themselves. But if He wills harm on people, no one can ward it off. Apart from Him, they have no protector.
So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, what does He mention about angels? They watch over us, yes. This is true. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, لَهُمْ مُعْقِبَاتٌ مِنْ بَيْنِ يَدَيْهِ وَمِنْ خَلْفِهِ يَحْفَظُونَهُ مِنْ أَمْرِ اللَّهِ. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is in front of them and behind them, the angels that protect them by the permission of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said that the angel whispers as the shaitan whispers. So whoever has a good whispering, good inclination, good thought, let him praise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and let him know that is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And whoever has a bad thought or evil thought, let him know that is from shaitan and not act upon it. Okay, so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given the angels the ability to tell us and to encourage us to do that which is good. Also, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala here mentions an ayah that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not change the condition of a people unless they change what is within themselves. Right? I'm sure you've heard this in many different khutbahs, many different reminders. What does this mean? What is this? Yes, good. Okay, we have to take the initiative. We have to make the first decision to change. Okay, what else? Expand upon that. You're on the right track, that's right, no doubt. Okay, we have to work. We have to do things for the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Let me take an example of, let's say, the Sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Okay? Say that, how is our condition going to change with regards to the Sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam? Is it going to change if we just say, yeah, the Sunnah is very, very important and we should love the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam? Or is it going to change? How is it going to change? Is that sufficient to inspire change? Implement, understand, learn. Right? Let me give you an example. The Prophet ﷺ and the companions are different times where they saw people wearing different things for protection. Sometimes they see it on their wrist, sometimes they see it around their necks, and they thought that these things were going to protect them from shaitan, from jinn, from waswasa, from sorcery and things like that. Right? But the Prophet ﷺ and the companions, they said, take all this off. The only one that can protect you is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But we have many people, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us all, they put more faith in these things rather than what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has told us to do, which is to read ayat from the Quran and the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. And even some people would come back and say, okay, but our children, they can't read ayah. So in order to protect them, we put these things on them. You can hold your child and you can read Quran there with that child. Or you can read Quran and just like go over your child. This is how we deal with these things. So if we want to get away from shirk, we want to get away from bid'ah, we want to get away from dependency on the creation and return to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we have to understand who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is and give Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's rights, and then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give us His support. And this is all from the tawfiq of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. No one can be inspired to improve or change except by the permission of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam used to ask him, Allahumma jaddid al-iman fi qulubina. Oh Allah, renew the iman in all of our hearts.
It is He who shows you the lightning, inspiring fear and hope. He builds up the clouds heavy with rain. The thunder sounds His praises, as do the angels in awe of Him. He sends thunderbolts to strike whoever He will. Yet still they dispute about God. He has mighty plans. The only true prayer is to Him. Those who pray besides Him give them no answer any more than water reaches the mouth of someone who simply stretches out his hands for it. They cannot do so. The prayers of the disbelievers are all in vain. All that are in heaven and earth submit to God alone, willingly or unwillingly, as do their shadows in the mornings and the evenings. Say, Prophet, who is Lord of the heavens and the earth? Say, God. Say, why do you take protectors other than Him, who can neither benefit nor harm even themselves? Say, are the blind equal to those who can see? And are the depths of darkness equal to the light? Have the partners they assigned to God created anything like His creation, so their creation is indistinguishable from Him, from His? Say, God is the creator of all things. He is the one, the all-compelling. He sends water from the sky that fills riverbeds to overflowing, each according to its measure. The stream carries on its surface a glowing layer of froth, like the froth that appears when people melt metals in the fire to make ornaments and tools. In this way, God illustrates truth and falsehood. The froth disappears, but what is of benefit to people stays behind. This is how God makes illustrations. There will be the best of rewards for those who respond to their Lord. Those who do not respond would willingly give away the earth's contents twice over if they had it, in order to ransom themselves. So terrible will be their reckoning. Hell will be their home, and their bed wretched.
Okay, what's the example that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is giving in regards to the water versus the prayers of the disbelievers? The translation's a little hard to pick it up. There is very clear though. Can you pick it up? Go ahead. Okay, very close, very close. Brothers say that it's like a person stretching their hands for water, and they won't get water, but like that's the equivalent of the disbeliever's prayer not being accepted. If you look at the Arabic context, it's a little bit deeper than that, right? And you're on the right track. Well, that is like a person's thirsty. Okay? So they have water in their hand, but by the time they reach the water to their mouth, the water drips out from between their fingers. And are they able to drink any water then? Is that water going to benefit them? No, so what do? They remain thirsty. They're hopeful in their prayers. They're hopeful in their actions. But when people do things for other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it doesn't bring them their intended benefit. It gives them false hope rather than bringing them the true benefit which was intended, which was actually drinking the water. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives another parable of how He sends down, right, water and the riverbank and compares it to, the blacksmith, and not a blacksmith, when you look at gold and silver and how they're heated and things like that. What is this example? Yes. Okay, the gold is heated up in order to purify it, right? And that remains, after that, it remains pure, and it remains like pristine. Similarly, what happens when revelation comes to a person's heart? What comes out of the person's heart? That is all the filth that we have in our hearts. You know how when you have, say that there's gold. If you ever seen gold, it's surrounded by dirt and surrounded by, silt and all that stuff. So when you heat it, all of that stuff comes out, and the gold remains pure. Similarly, when revelation, when we say, okay, look, we want to implement the Quran, we want to learn the Quran, we want to learn the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, then it comes and it has an effect on our heart. Our envy should come out, our jealousy should come out, our anger should come out, our holding of grudges should come out, our love of self-praise should come out. And what should remain? Our heart should remain pure. That's the intended effect of the Quran, and that's what the Quran happens. If we're sincere with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will use the Quran as a means to purify each of our hearts. So we need to submit to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we need to look at the Quran as a means of purifying our hearts and removing the poisons that plague our hearts. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about the rewards are for those that respond to their Lord. Those who do not respond will willingly give away earth's contents twice over, right? They would give away everything that they had in this world. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asks them, right? As soon as the person who has the most blessings in this world, Allah's Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, in the hereafter, when he's just dipped, part of him says dipped into the fire, Allah will ask him, did you ever experience anything good? He'll say, no, I never experienced any good. Well, in reality, in terms of the world, he was the most rewarded person. But that first just dip in the fire will make him forget all of the blessings that Allah bestowed upon him in this world. So the reminder to myself and to all of you is, yes, we can benefit from this world, but this world should not be a source or a means of distraction that causes us to forget the akhirah.
Can someone who knows that the revelation from your Lord is the truth be equal to someone who is blind to it? Only those with understanding will take it to heart. Those who fulfill the agreements they make in God's name and do not break their pledges, who join together where God commands to be joined, who are in awe of their Lord and fear the harshness of the reckoning, who remain steadfast through their desire for the face of their Lord, who keep up the prayer, who give secretly and openly from what we have provided for them, who repel evil with good. These will have the reward of the true home. They will enter perpetual gardens along with their righteous ancestors, spouses, and descendants. The angels will go into them from every gate. Peace be with you, because you have remained steadfast. What an excellent reward is this home of yours. But there will be rejection for those who break their confirmed agreements made in God's name, who break apart what God has commanded to be joined, and who spread corruption on earth. Theirs is a dreadful home. God gives abundantly to whoever He will, and sparingly to whoever He will. And though they may revel in the life of this world, it is but a fleeting comfort compared with the life to come.
Okay, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He compares the two categories of people. Someone who knows the revelation from your Lord is the truth, and the one who is blind to it. So knowledge. Someone who has knowledge and someone who does not have knowledge or doesn't care to seek knowledge. What is knowledge supposed to bring us? What are the thamara, right? The fruits of knowledge. The fruits of knowledge should cause us to fulfill our agreements with each other and with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to join the family ties. Joining of the family ties, what does that mean? Okay, to bring everybody close in the family. Does joining the family ties mean that if there's a relative that's good to you, you're good to them? That's part of it. But the Prophet ﷺ mentioned that al-wasil, the one who joins the family ties, is the one who reconciles with the one who has cut them off. Right? Say that there's a relative that doesn't want to meet with you, or does some harm to you, and you don't want to meet them. Silat al-Rahim, joining the family ties, is that you reach out to them and you bring them in. It's one of the most difficult things to do, without a doubt. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has emphasized it, and these are relationships that we haven't chosen. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has chosen them for us based on His knowledge and His wisdom subhanahu wa ta'ala. Also, they establish their steadfast, they're perseverant, they're patient, they establish their salah, they repel evil with good. And the contrast, those that are rejected, that those that don't have knowledge, that knowledge isn't important to them, or they're blind to, what do? They break their agreements. Right, whether it's with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala or the people, and they break specifically those agreements that are taken in the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What else do they do? What do they do? The people who are rejected. Look at ayah 25, yeah. Ayah 25. Huh? They spread corruption. They spread corruption. Good. What else? What else do they do? One more thing. If the believers and the ones who have knowledge, they join the family ties, what do these people do? They sever the family ties. They break the family ties. Right? And a lot of times what happens is that it may be justified in some of their behavior because they might have experienced harm, but at the same time, they don't go overboard. They don't go over. You don't have to go and be like, if somebody's harmed you, that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to go and you have to be like best friends with them, you have to forgive them completely and be like nothing has happened. No, but still, salam, right? You're still related, you still have rights on you. If they're sick, you still visit them. If you need something, you still help them. And this is from the Sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Another thing that's mentioned here is that the benefits of knowledge and the benefits about acting upon the knowledge, they're not just limited and constrained or restrained to the individual. That's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they will enter perpetual gardens along with their righteous ancestors, their parents, righteous ancestors, those that preceded them, their spouses, and their descendants. Right? So when you act upon knowledge, it's very important because it has an impact on our relationships in this world and in the hereafter with those that are closest to us.
The disbelievers say, "Why has no miracle been sent down to him from his Lord?" Prophets say, God leads whoever he wills astray and guides to himself those who turn towards him. Those who have faith and whose heart find peace in remembrance of God. Truly it is in the remembrance of God that hearts find peace. Those who believe and do righteous deeds, joy awaits these, and their final homecoming will be excellent. So we have sent you, prophet, to a community. Other communities passed away long before them, to recite to them what we revealed to you. Yet they disbelieve in the Lord of mercy. Say, He is my Lord, there is no God but Him. I put my trust in Him, and to Him is my return. If there were ever to be a Qur'an with which mountains could be moved, the earth shattered, or the dead made to speak, it would have been this one. But everything is truly in God's hands. Do the believers not realize that if God has so willed, He would have guided all mankind? As for the disbelievers, because of their misdeeds, disaster will not cease to afflict them or fall close to their homes until God's promise is fulfilled. God never fails to keep His promise. Many messengers before you, Muhammad ﷺ, were mocked, but I granted respite to the disbelievers. In the end, I took them to task. How terrible my punishment was. Is He who stands over every soul marking its action in need of any partner? Yet they ascribe partners to God. Say, name them, or can you tell Him about something on the earth He does not know to exist, or is this just a display of words? But the things they devise are made alluring to the disbelievers, and they are barred from the right path. No one can guide those God leaves to stray. There is a torment for them in this world, but the torment of the hereafter will be harder. No one will defend them against God.
Yesterday I was asking the question that also when we were doing the pre-Tarawih summary, that if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent down an angel, right, to talk to us, rose up the dead, rose up the lost relatives, the relatives that have passed away, and they're sitting in front of us, and they spoke to us directly, would that cause people to believe? Yes? No? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who allows people to believe. So the people that say that, oh, if you give us a sign, if this would happen, if this would happen, right? No matter how many signs we bring them, they won't believe unless Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants them to believe. For those that want to believe, are looking for the truth, the Quran is sufficient for them. The Prophet ﷺ's guidance is sufficient for them. The reflection and the alternation of the night and the day, the sun, the moon, the stars, all of these things, sufficient for them. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us about His greatness and His science, and He tells us that guidance is only with Him subhanahu wa ta'ala, and whoever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, no one can guide those Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala leads astray. And this is what we have to remember, is no matter how many signs we try to bring people at times, we have to make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The only one that can open a person's eyes, right, change a person's heart, is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's why the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam used to make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Ya muqallib al-qulub, thabbit qalbi ala deen. Right? Oh, the one who changes the hearts, make my heart firm on your religion. Ya musarrif al-qulub, sarrif qalbi ala ta'ati. Another narration, oh, the one who changes the heart, make my heart firm in your obedience. Another ayah from the Quran and a dua, رَبَّنَا لَا تُزِغْ قُلُوبَنَا بَعْدَ إِذْ هَدَيْتَنَا وَهَبْ لَنَا مِن لَّدُنكَ رَحْمَةً إِنَّكَ أَنتَ الْوَهَّابُ. That, oh Allah, do not let our hearts deviate after you have guided us, and give us from your rahmah. You are the one who bestows subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we always have to make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to keep us firm, and the ones that we're having struggles with, right? It could be our own relatives, it could be our own blood, it could be our own children and family members. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to change their hearts, and we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to guide all of them to that which is most pleasing to Him.
Many messengers before you, Muhammad ﷺ, were mocked, but here is a picture of the garden that those mindful of God have been promised, flowing streams and perpetual food and shade. This is the reward that awaits those who are mindful of God. The disbelievers' reward is the fire. Those to whom we sent the scripture rejoice in what has been revealed to you, Prophet. Some factions deny parts of it. Say, I am commanded to worship God and not join anything with Him in worship. To Him I call others, and to Him I shall return. So we have sent down the Quran to give judgment in the Arabic language. If you were to follow their desires, after the knowledge that has come to you, you would have no one to guard you or protect you from God. We sent messengers before you and gave them wives and offspring. No messenger was given the power to produce a miracle except with God's permission. There was a scripture for every age. God erases or confirms whatever He will, and the source of scripture is with Him. Whether we let you, Prophet, see part of what we threaten them with, or cause you to die before that, your duty is only to deliver the message. The reckoning is ours. Do they not see how we come to their land and shrink its borders? God decides. No one can reverse His decision, and He is swift in reckoning. Those before them also scheme, but overall scheme but the overall scheme belongs to God. He knows what each soul does. In the end, the disbelievers will find out who will have the excellent home. They say, "You have not been sent." Say, "God is sufficient witness between me and you. All knowledge of the Scripture comes from Him."
So this last paragraph is one of the main reasons that many of the scholars said this is a Makkan surah, because it's establishing the nubuwwah of the Prophet ﷺ and connecting him with the prophets of the past ﷺ, and teaching the people about the message of the Prophet ﷺ, which is to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about the Quran being revealed in the Arabic language, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions that if after having received revelation, right, or being given knowledge, we follow our desires, there's no protector. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will leave us to our desires. And say that instead of knowledge protecting you, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protecting you through your knowledge, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala leave a person to his own desires. What else? There's another ayah here, that what happened to the prophets before the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Did they have families? Oh yeah, they were mocked. That's in the previous day. Yeah, they were mocked. They were criticized and they were made fun of because they were trying to change the culture and the evil that was taking place in society. Okay, so when you say mocked, let's just expand on that real quickly, right? Why were they mocked? Let me give you an example. The Prophet ﷺ, one of the reasons that he was mocked, ﷺ, was that he spoke against the practice of girls being buried alive in Mecca. And then people mocked him. They said, "Why are you saying we shouldn't do this?" Literally what they used to do, right? They didn't have sophisticated hospitals and things like that. So when they used to deliver babies, they used to go out into the desert. And before the woman would, the lady would be delivering, they would have a grave dug open. And if it was a boy, okay, let's go back home, let's all celebrate. If it's a girl, the grave is there, let's put her in there. Then another thing that they used to do, okay, if they didn't do that, they said, okay, let's try and let's enjoy the time that we have. Then when she would turn 6 years old, what would they do? They would dress her up, right? And she thought, little girls, they like to get dressed up. And then they would go and then they would dig a grave. And the father or the uncle would tell her, "Go, look what's in there." And then they push her in there and then bury her alive. Prophet ﷺ came and he stopped all of these practices. He was mocked. People said, this is the culture. This is what we do. This is what we've been doing for centuries. The women, when they grow up, they're not going to bring benefit. They're not going to be able to fight in wars and things like that. So this is what we have to do. So the Prophet ﷺ